Hello and welcome back to the next act with a special edition of the podcast here with my co-host Matthew Roop. Instead of having a guest on today, we thought it'd be fun to go through some of the best things about being a D3 athlete. And instead of just going in a list, we decided to do a draft style. Today's special episode is brought to you by football players boosting the careers of musical artists. Shout out Travis Kelce for that one.
Shout out.
Shout out. So I'm going to get us started with the best things about being a D3 student athlete. The way this will go, we're going to have 5 rounds. I will pick first, and then Matthew will go. It'll be back and forth style, not a snake. And after each pick, we'll go into why we chose that thing for us. And then we'll move on. And hopefully you guys can relate. Hopefully it will cause some controversy. And hopefully we can hear some more relatable stories from you guys. The first thing, the first overall draft, insert the NFL draft sound bite. I have to go with the relationships. And obviously that's such a cheesy answer, but truly is unrivaled in Division III athletics because you're not there on a scholarship. So you're going to see your fair share of athletes coming in and out. But the ones that I had, Matthew's one of them. The relationships that I've been able to maintain over the years because of Division III athletics and just the different kind of bond that you build through sweat equity and going through all the different unique D3 experiences together, it's unmatched, truly is. So that's my first overall pick, and I think it's a worthy one.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't go wrong with that 1-1. It's definitely high on my list as well. So I respect that as the first overall pick there. With my first pick, I'm going to go something probably a little bit more traditional. I'm going to take game day. There's just something, a little bit extra about it, right? So from the time that you wake up, your alarm goes off, like you're ready to roll. Whether it's, it's a weekday game and you have to sit in class and you're watching film on the other team instead of paying attention, or it's a Saturday and you wake up and you had to breakfast first. There's something just a little bit extra about on that game day. From the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, it's just one of those days. It's always special, never fails to disappoint. And so it's a phenomenal just feeling. And so I'm going to take game day with my first pick.
And I knew that was going to be a high pick. My next pick, game day, that's what you do it for, obviously. It's what all the blood, sweat, and tears are for. With my second round pick, I'm going to go with this one because I'm hoping that you don't take my next one. I'm going to go with making a big play in a big game because it's different from high school because I grew up dreaming of playing in the NCAA March Madness and making the buzzer beater shot and pulling off the big upset and moving on to the next round and being the Cinderella. Obviously did make it all the way up to that point, but still there's something about being in a college NCAA setting and still being a part of that whole atmosphere. And regardless of how many people are in the stands, like knowing you make that big play for your team in a big moment and just seeing all the hard work pay off in that kind of setting of being a D3 athlete is, for me, one of the best things about it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you didn't grow up dreaming of hearing one shine moment at the end of your season, then are you a real athlete? So, I was right there with you. But that's a phenomenal, that's a strong number 2 out of the gate there for you. In my second round, I'm going to go with the locker room festivities.
Nice.
And particularly probably after a big win. Those are probably, the celebrations just with the guys in the locker room is just something that you just don't get anywhere else in life. And it's just a phenomenal experience, right? You're all celebrating. You guys are all there for the same reason. You're celebrating kind of as one. And it's not even just the celebrations, right? It's messing around before and after practice. It's, snapping towels.
100%.
It's all that kind of stuff, right? It's just something you don't get anywhere else. So I'm going to take the locker room.
Funny you bring that one up because I had a memory pop up on my Snapchat memories, and it was of a moment in the locker room. It was after one of our first practices, and my boy Jalen Spurgeon, his shoe apparently wasn't good enough, and he went to make a cut, and his whole foot just went through the side of it, Zion Williamson style.
Yeah, he's basically Zion.
So I had a video recording that in the locker room afterward, and it was funny. But
That's awesome.
definitely a strong number 2 pick for you. My 3rd round pick, along the same vein, but the bus ride back from a road win is phenomenal.
Had that.
Regardless of division, high school, college, I think D3, there's something to it because half the time, for us at least, if it wasn't far enough away, then it was a van ride back after a win. So particularly for us, a ride, an away game that was far enough away for us to get a charter bus. And on the ride back home there with your brothers, typically you got your own box of pizza in hand, eating the pizza, playing cards. You don't have to be quiet. You can have fun because you won. And because after a loss, it was just a completely different story. But we'll save that for the worst things about being a D3 student athlete. So my 3rd round pick is long bus rides back after a big win.
Absolutely. That's always a solid pick. Just the full box of pizza brings back some memories, just messing around with the guys. So, even the vans, when you got the right guy on the aux, you could get those bumping.
Absolutely.
So for my next pick, I'm gonna go with a little bit of a different line. I'm gonna go like when you walk out for the national anthem. So in soccer, like you're standing out on the field for the national anthem, you guys like stand along the sidelines, but just that feeling of like anticipation when you're standing there waiting, hearing the national anthem, you're standing next to your teammates, your brothers, and you're just getting mentally locked and loaded for the game. Like it's a different kind of like, we've been going along the rounds of like, exuberance and elatement, and this time it's more like that locked in moment when you start to realize like this is when it's about to go down, right? And I miss that feeling. Like sometimes when I hear the national anthem, I'll catch myself like I had a routine during the national anthem. I'll catch myself like moving my legs in a certain way. Like I still do it because it's just locked in my head. But I miss that feeling of like standing out on the field during the national anthem, just like starting to get locked in and mentally prepped. So I'll take the national anthem.
For sure. And you still get a little dose of that as a coach, but it's obviously very different because you're not getting locked in to go out there and play on the actual pitch. But that was
getting
one
ready
of my
to run
favorites.
my head through anyone.
Right, exactly. Not until the coaches game afterward. But
yeah, right.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my favorites too. I mean, it's just it's the calm before the storm. I mean,
absolutely.
It's where everything is quiet right before it goes to the wall.
Yep.
Great 3rd pick. I'll say my 4th round pick is, I think this is unique to D3 and probably some smaller schools at D2 and D1, but knowing all of the athletes within the school, because then you get to go out and see each other's games and you know each other, so it makes it that much more fun and that much easier to, one, if you're watching them, get hyped for them, and it makes the environment that much better. And 2, like it's just fun because it's a bunch of your friends, even if there's not a ton of people there. Like they're out there supporting you, and it's something you can go back to the dorms after, and you'll probably see each other, or you'll see each other in the cafeteria the next day, and you get to talk about it. Especially when there's a lot of crossover in the fall, like we're in right now, when basketball is just kicking up. Volleyball is just getting over. Football's still going. Soccer's still going. So I would say knowing a lot of the athletes and being able to support each other at each other's games is my 4th round pick.
Yeah, so I'm pretty upset because that's where I was going with my next pick, actually. Have it written down here. That's an awesome experience, like just looking up in the stands and seeing, your friends up there or other athletes or when you're in the stands and you understand what they've been going through and kind of, being there to support them. And also like watching games with your teammates, right? So like we would always go to your guys' games as like a group. There was a group of 10 of us or so that were sitting up there, but like messing around with them and then also supporting you guys. It's just it's a good feeling. And some very fond memories in the stands of in the gym. So
Very fond.
absolutely. So with mine, I'm gonna go with maybe an interesting one. I'm gonna go the feeling of like a recovery day. So like after you play a game, when you come back like the next day, when you're on the foam rollers and you're on the bands and you get a good stretch in, like after you've just put in a shift and you wake up the next day, it's hard to get out of bed, and then you go to training and practice, and it's like, all right, we're gonna be on the foam rollers, we're gonna get on the bands, we're gonna do some stretching, and just like that whole feeling, like, and just going through that once again, it's like a time to talk with the guys. It's a little bit lighthearted, but just that recovery session always is something that, you know, I kind of look forward to after games, because it's just an opportunity to get your body right. But you know how much wear and tear your body takes over the course of a season, so those recovery days were always nice for me.
The ice baths at Manchester. Yes. There's 2 of them back in the AT room, and
yes, the ice bath.
They were clutch. They were awful, but they were clutch.
Absolutely.
To say the least. Shout out to the AT room back there for getting it ready for us. We honestly didn't use it very much until my last year there with Coach Conley, because then if you played over a certain amount of minutes in the game before, then you were required to get at least, I think it was like 8 or 10 minutes in there, and he'd be like there watching you to make sure you were staying in. weren't cheating any of it.
Absolutely. I grew to enjoy the ice bath. I was a little hesitant, but I remember Brady and Todd, like on day 1, they're like, get in the ice bath. I was like, okay, I'm in. But I grew to enjoy them. So, the ice bath's always clutch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this one might be a little bit unique to D3, but also probably still applicable to every single level. But with my 5th round pick of the best things about being a D3 student athlete is getting the freshmen and new guys acclimated and knocking any idea that this was going to be easy out of their mind.
It's a good one.
Honestly, I'm surprised I didn't think of this earlier, because it's one of my favorite things, was because there's a stigma around D3. It's like, oh, this is going to be easy. I'm going to go there because I didn't go to D1 or D2, and I'm going to go play, and it's going to be more of a hobby. So every year, it was my goal to make the freshmen, this might sound sick and crazy, but it was my goal every single year to make the freshmen want to quit or realize it was not going to be easy. And I did that best with the sleds on Tuesday mornings in the Player Development Center. The first week of 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. sleds, it did the trick. It definitely gave them an idea of, this wasn't high school anymore. I don't care what you thought coming in. This is where college athletes come to get better and go to work. So I would say, and they thought I was crazy, and that was fine. I enjoyed it. I was a little crazy.
You were a little crazy. Yeah, we all were.
But you have to be a little crazy to get the results that are uncommon.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, didn't get as many of those results as we wanted, but that's neither here nor there. So that's my 5th round pick, and honestly could have been a little bit earlier, but got a sleeper pick.
Yeah, that's a sneaky good one there. Just giving them their welcome to college moment, welcome to the league moment. That's good. For me, I'm gonna take one that's probably, it's not as unique to Division III or even, you know, being a college athlete in general. You could go to almost any workout for this, but that feeling after you finish a workout and you get an ice cold beverage. So whether it's water, Gatorade, chocolate milk, whatever it is, whatever you use to replenish, like just that feeling when you like crack it open and you're like, like that's what I'm going for with my last pick. that moment.
Yeah, it's hard to beat.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in to the first ever draft on the Next Act podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. We enjoyed this format. It's just a little bit of a different way for us to get out some good information to you guys. But let us know who won in the comments. I know Keto and I are fairly competitive people, so we want to know your opinions and who you think won. But as always, let's make sure that the best is yet to come. Have a great rest of your week. And this is Matthew signing off for Keto and myself. Have a good one.